Six points from six for Manchester City. A close game in large parts, but the quality of Man City shone through. Phil Foden balling out in, coming in for the injured KDB in that attacking midfield role and looking sublime, looking relaxed, cool, calm, collected, demonstrating. To me, as an individual, I'm always confused why he doesn't start more games for Man City. I think this kid has absolute magic in his boots, and he demonstrated that tonight. A brilliant goal from Alvarez, absolute peach of a strike, nothing the goalkeeper could do. And look, there's some really good moments from Newcastle in this game. They had opportunities. I wouldn't necessarily say clear-cut chances, but they had opportunities. They got in behind a few times, and I think they made life really difficult for Man City. But when you think that Stones is to return, Bernardo Silva is out, KDB is out, and still City are able to be that dominant this early in the campaign, 60% of the ball, no goals conceded so far this season, just another phenomenal start to a Premier League campaign for a team looking to go 4-4 and be the first Premier League side ever to do that. And I'm just asking this. I don't actually know. I don't know if anybody's ever. Has a 4-peat been done? It must have been done at least once in top flight English football. But I have to say, it was just one of those games. I was watching it and I'm trying to focus so I can talk about it, but I find myself kind of drifting off, thinking about and doing other things because it just felt so comfortable for large parts of that game. And Newcastle, look, I think they can take a lot of pride out of this performance. It's still a good start to their campaign. You kind of saw as they were making their substitutions and they were bringing on, the Andersons and the Longstaffs and the Barnes, good players, nowhere near the standard of the subs and personnel that City have. And there was a slight drop-off in overall quality as a team, but they're still so far ahead of schedule, Newcastle. They can be proud and they can be very optimistic about what is to come. But in terms of the individual game, mentioned Foden, come back to him. A quiet night for Haaland. We had some opportunities, didn't really get hold of the ball as well as he would have liked. But this is the difference between Man City and so many other teams across Europe. If their talisman, their main striker, their goal-getter doesn't turn up, somebody else does. And that is why they are so potent. Alvarez mentioned his goal, but I thought overall in that number kind of 10 role, support striker role tonight, I thought he was excellent, holds the ball up well. He's got an eye for a pass as well. Can go on the inside and out. And that's a key component, which gets ignored a lot when I listen to Tacticos talk, the ability to come inside and outside as a football player. And he does it very, very well indeed. Another individual who he may not be happy that KDB's injured. He may not be happy that Silva is out. But I feel just like Foden, this is a great opportunity for him to say, listen, Pep, I know they're your main boys, but they're getting on a bit. The future's here. The future's now. Play me. Because I thought he was majestic. And this is one of the hardest home games Newcastle City will have all season playing Newcastle. Rodri, consummate ease. We know how good he is. Don't really need to focus on him. But I was also really impressed with Kovacic tonight. I thought Kovacic just, nothing astounding. But he just knits that team together so well. Knits them together. Being English, we have a food here we love, a roast dinner on a Sunday. And you always focus on buying the right beef or the right chicken or the right lamb, or whatever it may be. You want to, get your potatoes done right. Make sure they're seasoned. You want the best fresh veg to, some of it you boil, some of it you roast, depending on exactly what it is. All of that is perfect. You need your meat and 2 veg, great. But without top-class gravy, it ruins it. And Kovacic is, and I've used this analogy before, years ago, to talk about Michael Carrick. And Kovacic tonight was that gravy. It was not the spectacular thing, not the thing that anyone talks about. Isn't the meat, isn't the potatoes, isn't the amazing veg. It's just, I didn't really notice it, but it made the dinner perfect. And Kovacic was very, very good tonight indeed. Defensively, I thought very strong. Statistically speaking, you won't see a lot. because they didn't have to do too much. But when they did, they were good. There was one little mistake really in the game where Roger gave the ball away to Wilson fairly late on, and Newcastle just didn't really capitalize. But there's elements of this team, that this City team, that just it's so good. Jack Grealish getting back late in the game in left back positions, making tackles. As much as people will focus on the triangles and the tippy tapper and the movement and the fluidity at times of this team, it's their rigidness and their work rate out of possession which I respect the most, because that is the foundation of which their football is built upon, and it is very, very good indeed. Now, I want to go to some of your comments. I want to know what you thought and feel about this game. My man of the match, I echo what I think TNT Sports Ali McCoy gave it to. Phil Foden. He absolutely run the show tonight. And by the way, up against a very good team in Newcastle United. This here says Newcastle United's hardest game of the season at home out the way. Watch Chelsea finished fisted by West Ham tomorrow. Oh, sorry, Newcastle's hardest game of the season out the way. That's very, very true. Haaland is over in the Premier League. Defenders know how to let him go to sleep in games. It's not over for him. He just didn't score tonight. City's still the team to beat. You'll never walk alone. Of course they are. 110% they're the team to beat. Terry, I told you we have Phil Foden in the middle. Quick recovery for KDB. But I thought Foden played more on the right tonight. But of course, this is the thing. The starting position is where you're at, but he drifted everywhere. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. It's the positions you want take up to pick the ball up, which is important. Terry, where is Mama Flossie? I don't know. I hope she's okay. I hope she's well. Newcastle didn't create much. No, they didn't. And we had this argument about a year ago. Do you remember when Arsenal played Spurs and the Spurs fans said we have so many chances? And they didn't. They had opportunities to create chances. Newcastle had that tonight, but they didn't. There was a moment where Bruno Guimaraes had an opportunity to shoot and he shanked it. And so often when teams get chances against City, the blood rushes to their head and they make those mistakes. So yeah, I get you there. Newcastle won't make it far in the Champions League. See, I don't know if you can say that. This was, again, away from home against the best team in the world, and they narrowly lost 1-0. I think they could get out the group stage. I don't think they can win it, same as I don't think they can win the Premier League this year. But listen, they're ahead of schedule from where anybody thought they would be. 18 months or so ago, whatever it was, they were sitting second bottom in the league. The turnaround has been amazing, and their fans are very, very proud. A moment of brilliance got City on the board, and not even their strongest team. They get results versus challengers. Yeah, you could argue it was a moment of brilliance. I think that they created enough opportunities. Haaland had 2 or 3 chances on another day. He scores, as an example. So they had 3 or 4 clear-cut opportunities as far as I'm concerned. The irony is the shot from distance, the more speculative effort is what wins them the game. So I normally typically say you win by a moment of brilliance when you don't create very much else. If you look at the body of work they did tonight, I think they more than deserved it. Terry, any ideas on Spurs so far? Yes, Spurs look good. Spurs look good in stages. Both first halves of their season, they've looked a little off. Second half, they've been a lot better. But yes, some really good signs for them, no doubt. I hate Man City Oil Club. There we go. West Ham ain't doing anything against Chelsea. What was the deluded super chat? I don't know. Edison is like an infield player. Sometimes those passes to wide players are world-class. My goodness. Yeah, he's phenomenal. Phenomenal when the ball is at his feet. And there's very few other goalkeepers like him in the world. He's out of this world. A brilliant day of football. Yeah, not if you're a Man United fan. It was horrendous, but I get everybody else absolutely enjoyed themselves massively. I totally get that. Well, United look off on 2 halves. Yeah, listen, Man United don't look very good at the minute at all. I thought we looked good in the first half. I liked how we played. Conceded a few too many chances. Should have scored. Second half, abysmal. But that match reaction's already out, my friend. This year is all Arsenal. We will see. The one thing I would say, the one thing I would genuinely say though, about Man United is we're 3 points better off than we were this time last year. And we've got like a better goal difference. So I'm looking at the silver linings here, but there we go. Yeah, it was never in, Yeah, that was why I never doubted him when we lose many players, because we will make it work with anything we have. Pep is the GOAT. I'm never going to start supporting City. Messi is somewhere smiling at his new Alvarez while saying yes with my pupil. Thank you very much, Debbie, for that super chat. I appreciate it. We're joined by D-Man now. D-Man, welcome back to the show. Are you there, bro? Oh, his system has crashed. Darren has crashed. Come back to us in a minute, G, and we'll have a little chitty chat with you. City must win the league. They are the best in the world. Well, the expectation is on Man City to win the league, undoubtedly. Will they win it? That is a very, very different question. That's a very, very different situation indeed. But of course, the expectation is upon them to win it. Absolutely. Brighton over Man United. Yeah, Brighton look much better. They just do. I'm not even going to deny it. It is what it is. Darren, are you there, mate?
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go. We got you now, bro. How you doing? You good?
Yeah, not too bad, boss. Not too bad. Could be better.
Good. Remind everyone who you support, just so they know.
Yeah, Newcastle fan. Newcastle fan for
Yeah.
sins. But
yeah. What did you make of? What did you make of it today? Obviously, you're disappointed to lose. Everybody always is. Gave a good go of it though, I felt, and still a work in progress. But how did you see it as a Newcastle fan?
You know what? I mean, listen, there's no shame in losing to Man City 1-0. I thought defensively we kept our shape. We looked quite solid. We didn't give them too many clear opportunities, but my gripe with the whole performance was the attacking side of things. I think we didn't trouble Edison one at all, and I think we only really gave it a go in the last 15 minutes. I mean, I understand you can't really go head to head, toe to toe with Man City for 90 minutes because they'll just pick you apart. But I just thought there was just a bit of apprehension and nervousness about our attacking play. It's not until Harvey Barnes came on that we looked a bit more threatening. We didn't carve out any opportunities in the first half, really. And in the second half, when we did break, our decision making was very poor, very poor. So it just shows the levels that we need to get to, and we're quite a way off it. But not many teams are going to do that to Newcastle this season. Probably only Man City. So, and that's Man City away. I expect us to give a better account of ourselves at home. But yeah, defensively not too bad. Offensively, a lot to work on. I think we lack that creative player that can, unlock defensive. We work hard, we're physical, but when it comes to that extra bit of creativity, we're missing that. We're missing that.
Yeah, I think not getting Maddison, I watched what he did to Man United today, would have been a player that, you would have gone for. But I think this is where, and I know that everybody wants stuff now, typically, I'm not saying you, but as a general rule, to think where you've come in the last 18 to 24 months, the progression that you've made, you were still in that. Today's game, you were still in it. And that's the thing with today's match. At any moment, you could have, if you would, any moment up until the final whistle, you could have drawn the game. It's not embarrassing to lose 1-0 away from home. You won't lose any confidence in this game. It's not like you got battered 4 or 5-0 and you're walking away licking your wounds. I think it was a good showing, but I think City are just so good. They're on for a 4-peat. They've got 3 of their best players out and they're still able to perform to that level. And it's a hard thing for anyone to handle. And Hamza's here with us now as well. Another win, bro. 3 points in the bag. Coping without KDB. Talk to us, Hamza.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Oh, it was a stressful game. Big up Newcastle. Newcastle, absolutely a great side. It was a tough game. Even I was worried before the game because we've seen how they've played. They've played with, last week we saw Sandro Tonali. Their midfield is quite very, very good. So before the game, seeing Gumare, Sandro Tonali, Joe Linton, I was scared. I was like, listen, I have to put my hand up. I thought Newcastle have got heart. And we've seen them going to places like Brentford last year, and they've won like 5-1. So Newcastle not an easy game. So today, as soon as before the game started, and I saw my bench, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be a long night, and it's going to be a tight game. Newcastle gave us all they needed to do, and they were absolutely a great team. Eddie Howe has done so well with such a youthful side. He's improved them. These guys are playing for the badge. And it was so hard. We needed that goal, but what a performance from the team, especially the midfield. We just edged it, but Rodri impeccable. Kovacic was absolutely outstanding. And listen, Foden was brilliant today. People, Man City fans were calling him up saying, this is your year, this is the game you have to perform. Other rivals were saying it. And today, Foden came out and he showed levels. He was able to pick up the ball and he had the confidence of asking for the ball. You know, when you ask for the ball and he's got he would keep asking for the ball and he would take on one player and two players and he would make a beautiful ball. And playing in the middle, which I have to put my hand up. I thought he's versatile, he can play all the position, but today he might have exposed one thing, that he's so brilliant in the middle. And one person said it, the reason why Saka's probably doing very well, he's probably stuck on that side and he's learned that way. This is my area, I'm going to play there. Game in, game out. Phil Foden keeps getting chained. So could it be this is his position and he has to thrive? But one thing we have to be very careful. Newcastle, very, very good side. Very good side. And listen, they're going to be a major threat. And we were lucky because Callum Wilson, if he plays that ball, they've equalized. And that's what is like great players will make absolutely great decision at the right time. At that time, you have to pass the ball. You have to pass. They were 3-on-1. You have to take advantage because Man City will never give you any other chance. So when teams play Man City, we've seen in Sevilla, when they didn't take their chance, we took them to penalties and won the game. You have to take your chances against City. And today, I think all those City fans who were saying, oh, this squad is good enough. Listen, I've been saying it for a while. We're not happy. Listen, I'm not happy. Look at the bench. Was Pep really happy? If Pep really loved all those players, yeah, why didn't he bring anyone on? Where was Calvin Phillips? Where was Cole Palmer? People tell me, oh, we're happy with McAtee and Cole Palmer on the bench. Why did he not bring them on? A conversation that must be had. We got away with a 1-0 win today, but City must sign a player. 2 or 3 players at least. I think 3, but 2's pushing it.
I hear you. Look, and on the Phil Foden thing, I agree with you. I think he does need to be given. Listen, KDB is one of the best midfielders the Premier League has ever seen, and I've had him in my top 5 now for about 2 years, top 5 ever. But I think he's coming towards the end physically. He'll still score and create, but his body's starting to let him down. And I think Phil Foden should be given a run of games now in that position with him being out and the chance to cement a main position. If you don't let him do that, we've got Rashford at our club. I'm so infuriated he's been put as a 9 again when he isn't any good at it. Last year, look how many goals he scored playing off the left. We have injury problems and a lack of purchases. We move him into an area where he's average at. He's average as a number 9. So stick him back where he's meant to be. So I agree with that on Foden there. And you are right. I do think you need to go out and buy. I do think as you say, in terms of 1 or 2 more injuries and suddenly you guys dropping off isn't like the rest of us, but it makes you a little bit more human. V's here with us. Long time no see, V. Good to have you back on the terrace. Good result tonight. Talk to me about the game.
Very good result, man. Very good result. That was a fight. Newcastle, they were kicking us all over that pitch. It was a battle. We played earlier in the week, right? So to win the Super Cup, fantastic. Short rest, turnaround. They did us no favors having us play on Saturday. Could have played Sunday, could have played Monday. Did us no favors. Pep had those 11 guys gutted out and fight it against this Newcastle team. It was fierce. I think when I look at how we had to perform and what Pep asked the players to do, I can't complain. Look, like Professor Hamza mentioned earlier, the players on the bench aren't of that make a difference level yet. They're young, they've got great promise, but to play against a Newcastle team that were in excellent form last season and show that they're up for it this season, we couldn't do it. I think he trusted the 11 to get the win. And I said before the game even kicked off, I believe this 11 can get the result. Now, if it had to go to relying on subs, that's where I had some risk. But this performance was much needed to kind of quiet down our fan base in a way. Some of our fan base have been panicking. They've been saying, just stopgap buy. I don't agree that we need to stopgap buy. Let's still be smart, long-term vision, get the right players at the right price. We don't splash the cash, but let's do that and move forward. We're really waiting for players to come back from injury. Once they're back from injury, it's calm. Yeah,
listen, I agree. I don't think City will panic. I do think you need to buy, but it needs to be players that I kind of look at it. I mean, it's probably a good job you didn't land Paqueta if he's guilty of this accusation, because then you'd lose him anyway. But you look at the Doku situation, you clearly want him. You wanted Elise. So you've got to buy players your manager wants, but you've got to bring them in. No doubt about it. But yeah, I can't imagine why any City fan would be panicking about the way your club is run or what Pep Guardiola is doing personally. But that's only me looking from the outside in. It's only a short stream tonight, people, because I've got to...
Terry, 1 second. Actually, another reason why we don't need to panic as City fans is when we look at the landscape, should we really be worried about, no offense, Terry, United? Should we really be worried about Liverpool? We don't really need to panic. We're not seeing the teams quite established to really make this as difficult as a four-peat attempt should be.
I kind of agree with you on that in the sense of let's wait and see what Arsenal look like in their next game. But so far, like, everybody started off with, some wins and draws, but nobody's looking like the completed team yet. Whether it's Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, no one looks complete yet. However, you don't want to start slowly and then someone clicks into. I get where they're coming from, but I don't think they should panic. As I say, I've got to go and relieve the babysitter of her duties this evening, as it's a late one anyway. People, hit like buttons before you leave and subscribe. We're back tomorrow with more content, match reactions, and more. D-Man, Hamza, V, always a pleasure to speak to you two. Viewers, you know how much I respect and love you. Well done, City, on your victory. Take care, good night, God bless, and I'll see you all again soon.